But I do believe that in a previous generation, like, there was a call to serve Christ. And I think young people were challenged, like, give your life away to this. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And even if you go and die because you could, it's worth it.
The future is now.
Welcome back to the Disciple Standard Podcast. I'm your anchorman, Aaron. Glad to have you, and we're glad to have some of our guests here. We haven't had this combo in a little bit, so I wanted to bring the boys back together. We got the Sultan of Sound, the High Reverend himself, Seron Brown. Welcome back to the pod.
Glad to be here.
Highly emotionally sensitive man.
Yeah, if you want to know what that
touch.
references to, subscribe to our Patreon, and that's where that one is. That's a good one, guys. If you're gonna subscribe to any Patreon and watch that video,
That video, the video.
If you want to know the inner heart of a man who's wrestling with his emotions.
yeah. And so we've got things like that where Seron is starting to struggle with his emotions. We had one where Chris Voss was talking about grandparents. We had one about crypto. We had just like kind of sprawling. And so that's just the stuff that doesn't make it into the pod. Subscribe for less than a cup of coffee a month. Anyway, that's Seron. Glad to have you on the pod.
So funny. Glad to be here.
And Mr. Multiply himself, fresh off the airplane from Nigeria to here in the United States. You may have came back about, a week ago? No, a couple days ago.
I just got here.
Yeah, I don't even remember now. Yeah, it's Thursday, so like 4 days? 4 days ago?
No, like I got here Monday night.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, geez. Yeah. So, Mr. Multiply himself, Scott Vanderplug, how was your trip?
Okay. The trip was amazing. I had, it was such a good trip. So, for a variety of reasons. One of the things I've learned is Nigeria is a long way away. I guess I knew that, but I was reminded.
How many hours
just
in
the
there?
hours on an airplane. I think it took I don't know, let's say 23 hours or so to get there. And then on the way back, we were dropped at the airport at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 32 hours before I landed in Grand Rapids. I went to do, I preached at First Byron Christian Reformed Church in the Grand Rapids area for their Missions Sunday. So I flew to Grand Rapids 32 hours from airport to airport.
Jeez,
so
Louise.
wow, it's a long way.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I just came from the Philippines, and it was like 32 hours.
Yeah.
But I'm in the Philippines. Like, that's further away. I don't know why it took you the same amount of time.
Well, on the way back, we went from Abuja, which is the capital city of Nigeria. Then we had to fly to Togo, to Lome, Togo, which is right on the coast. And then from there, we had to fly to Paris. And then from there, I had to fly to Atlanta. And then from Atlanta, I had to fly to Grand Rapids. So in addition to all the time in the air, which was probably close to 24 hours, I had all the layovers and everything else.
That's a crazy flight schedule.
It was.
You needed to have AI to organize that flight schedule for you. 1 or 2 flights. That's all you needed. Have you ever been to that side of the world, Seron?
Africa?
Uh-huh.
No.
I'm just saying.
In DNA only. No, sir.
Well, do you plan on having more trips back to Africa?
I hope to.
Yeah. Would you want to go?
I'd go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. He asked me to go, and it sounded like a great idea. Then I talked to Mary, and she's like, "You know what's happening in Africa right now?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I wasn't just we're like here. You hear so much about like the Israel stuff and everything that's happening like here, and I was like, "What's really happening there?" I was like,
for anyone who doesn't know,
they're
what do you? Yeah,
they're like killing Christians over there. I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie. We were all in having dinner at my house the Sunday you left.
Okay.
And we were just talking about kind of Nigeria and your trip and all that stuff. And we're like, someone said it. I forgot. Maybe it was Jake early on or someone. Someone said, maybe we should pray for his safety. And then Saron's like, Aaron.
no, that was me. That
was you.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're like, maybe I think you're the designated survivor here. I was like the show. And so
and then Kelsey was like, "Let's stop right now."
Yeah, and so then we started
let's do
praying
it.
over because
Okay, that's awesome.
we were so worried. We were like,
Yeah.
yo, they're beheading Christians.
It was
over
actually
there.
a very interesting moment. It was like some faith in action stuff. Like, yo, let's pray right now. All right. He's going to be there longer than just today. So we all need to take a day.
Yeah,
so
we
then
all
we started
divvied out
dividing up
days.
days
Yeah.
amongst the family of
Yeah.
when we would pray. It was cool.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
Brielle
Okay.
literally prayed for you like almost like every night. It was very
That's
it was very
amazing.
cool.
That's amazing that you guys did. But I have some thoughts about that too.
Okay.
So
about us
probably Nigeria is one of the most dangerous countries to travel to in the world right now, especially as a Westerner. And
Not like you blend
for
in.
sure, what it's just now starting to kind of like, what's that?
He said it's not like you blend in.
No. Actually, I was sort of making a joke because we'll show some pictures later. And I'll say it's hard to pick out who I am because I'm like in a sea of bald men.
Yeah, they're all bald. You can't tell the
You can't
difference.
tell. Maybe pull up the picture of all the people for the conference, Jake. So, no, not that one. Not that one.
That one's
Yeah, that one. So everyone's bald, so it's hard to figure out which one am I.
Why are they all bald?
Yeah, I'm obviously making a joke.
That's funny.
But it is starting to just get into the American press, the kind of persecution that Christians are under. There's lots and lots of murders and kidnappings, and it's dangerous. Even the Nigerian pastors there themselves, I mean, they sense some kind of danger. Yeah. I think one of the things I've done a lot of thinking about is that we tend to hear from our perspective, we want to stay safe. But is that how we should live our Christian life? Just try to stay safe as possible. And this is my provocative thesis statement. Risk is right in light of who Jesus is.
Risk is right in light of who
Yeah,
Jesus is.
so I don't know. You could take it like really simply. You're at the grocery store. You're talking to someone. You sense there's a spiritual opening to bring up your faith. But you know what? We tend to prefer safety, so we shrink away from it.
You shot down my grocery store like 2 podcasts ago.
What happened? I don't know why. What's
I
going
didn't shoot
on
it
here?
down.
So we were talking about being courageous, and I was saying one of the things like this grocery lady was telling me like this thing was going through her sister, and then I've been trying to do this thing. I used to say people like I'll pray for you, and then I would write it like in my thing or open up my notes app.
Okay.
So I've been trying to like make it more like actionable. Like I'm going to pray for you, and I'm going to do it right now because it's kind of like uncomfortable to like in the middle of Publix just like burst out in prayer with this random. At least for me. And I'm very social. Like, just burst out, like, in prayer with this person. And he was like, well, that's like your soft, cushy courage. That's what he said to me. That's what he said.
I was merely pushing back on it. That's all.
And I was like, oh.
Well, I just mean this as an illustration. I mean, it doesn't really, I'm not only talking about the grocery store, but like how much Jesus came and laid down his life for us. And the more you let that dawn on you, like, is it that the point of Christianity is to find a nice, safe, tidy life, or did Jesus say, pick up his cross and follow him? So I think there's some amount of risk is right, and maybe like, I think we have to take every reasonable precaution and be as safe as possible. Like I wasn't out there taking unnecessary risks as I was in Nigeria, but I think to some extent or another, we tend to play it too safe. And what if we end up giving our life or suffering in some way? I don't know. I'm just merely saying, like, it might be that, and I heard people say, like, are you really going to go to Nigeria? Isn't it dangerous there or whatever? But okay, yeah, there's some amount of danger, but I think risk is right when it comes to our faith.
As a general principle.
Just as a general principle. Like,
Yeah.
why should we So, okay, I was even thinking about this. So we're just talking about the trip right now, and the trip was great. But, Andrew and I were missionaries there in 2001 and 2002. And truly, we faced real life danger. I mean, I actually consider it miraculous that we're still alive as a result of some of the stuff that we faced. I can only say that God preserved our life. He had a plan. He is the one who protected us. I more than Andrea, but both of us were in real life situations where we probably should be dead, except that God protected us. And anyway, missionaries were facing that in Nigeria. They were. There's wars, crises, there's criminals, there's, anyway, at one point our denomination had as many as 100 missionaries in Nigeria, serving in Nigeria at a time. And some of the first missionaries were single women who went to Nigeria and risked everything, and their graves are there. They died there.
Wow.
And missionaries went knowing that they may very well not return. They may die there. But over the course of time, like, some safety concerns have sort of trumped over, and I don't know whether it's right or wrong or whatever on behalf of our mission agency, but now there are no missionaries in Nigeria. The last missionary that we had there was kidnapped and finally released. But, there are extreme safety concerns that were there. But now we don't have any missionaries on the ground there. And I think...
as a CRC.
As a CRC. I think part of it, the reason that there's a shrinking number of missionaries is that this concern for safety has grown and grown and grown and grown. And I'm saying risk is right, but I think there are many people who, as Christians, are saying, no, risk is wrong. We can't possibly send a missionary if they could end up losing their life. But maybe there are some young people who are, I don't know, who their faith would be such that they're like, you know what? I got to go spread the gospel, and if I lose my life doing it. So anyway, I always say this to my kids, that I hope I can die as a martyr. And I'm pretty serious about it, I guess. Who wants to die of cancer? That stinks.
Yeah. I was actually talking to your daughter, and she mentioned that, and I was talking about having your back, and she was like, "Yeah, he always says he wants to die as a martyr." I was like, "How do you feel about that?" She's like, "Sounds cool." I'm like, "Oh, that's cold, Kate. That's some cold stuff right there."
I just feel. I mean, it's not like I really hope I die murdered for my faith per se. Like, I'm not looking in any given instance to take unnecessary risks, or it won't be pleasant. It's not something that I want to go through. But I do think, can't we as Christians, for the sake of our faith, in light of what Jesus has done for us, be willing to take some more risk for the sake of the gospel?
Could you pinpoint that in an American mentality? What is it? Is it the desire for comfort and safety? Is it a value that is more based off of looking for a future that is comfortable, or not a value of the gospel? Like, what is it exactly? Give me an edge to understand.
I don't know. You guys tell me. Don't you think that in general we're prioritizing safety more than, and I'm not against safety. We should be as safe as we possibly can be. We should take whatever precautions we possibly can. But what I'm saying is, if it involves some risk, often we're shrinking away from it rather than running toward it. And it just seems to me that if we have faith that we're eternally secure, I don't know. I think it's as simple as this. Let's say there's someone who's really sick with a contagious disease in the hospital. Will you go and visit them, or should they suffer through that alone? And I think our American society right now, and our culture, would prioritize our own personal safety over comforting that person. But I think,
Well, this could spread into different realms, right? You got health. You did social with the grocery store. It could be financial. Like, I don't want to give more because I need. You never know what could happen. We got a lot of bills or whatever to cover, and I don't know. Seron, you look like you've got a thought trying to get out there.
No, just keep talking. I don't know. It's like the thing where we had 100-something people in the denomination in Africa, right? And then there's no one there now. You said
there's not.
So I guess my thought process was: were the people who wanted to go? Did they feel called to do it, and the denomination assisted them? And right now, if someone in the denomination feels called to do it, is the denomination not assisting them?
So I think there's a whole bunch of things here. But I do believe that in a previous generation, like, there was a call to serve Christ. And I think young people were challenged, like, give your life away to this. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And even if you go and die because you could, it's worth it.
Then I guess I'm struggling because I feel like I don't feel a call to go to Africa.
Well, you may not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, so then my thought is like, who and where are these people with the call?
But where?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, who got the phone? I don't know.
When was the last time you ever heard anyone like encouraging people? Like, okay, I think in the Middle East right now, in Iraq, in Iran, in Turkey, there's incredible opportunities, but you would have to go and it'd be a huge risk. If you go out to preach the gospel to all nations, there's like plenty of places where you can go that are virtually unreached. And if you go, you might have to lay down your life.
The only person within our generation that I can think that recently did this is Tyler.
Yeah. We've got a friend, Tyler Collins, and he's he can't even say that he's like undercover. He's like a bookstore manager or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like he did it with his family and his babies.
I would love to hear his take on this because I'm
should get him.
Like, what call did how did that feel for God to place that in his life? With his family, his kids?
Well, I think there's also externally, you might be around people who might prioritize global missions. So maybe there isn't much of a highlight or a spotlight rather on global missions.
But even when I was growing up, right, the church I was in, they still did mission work and global missions, but I just never, like, what I'm saying is, like, I've never felt like I felt called to that. I've always felt called to, like, more local stuff. Well, so I'm like, who are the people who are called to this? Where are they? Did it die down?
To me, it's like not just about global missions, but so we've been talking, last week we talked about courage on the pod.
Oh, okay.
And so you could check out the pod in the last episode with Zach, and I just felt like this, and it came out in a couple of my recent sermons. I just have this like angst or frustration, maybe even, about trying to even get it out right now. Like, try to get your life about something meaningful, even my own life, right? Like, am I living in a way that demands courage, that needs courage?
Okay.
Like I'm living a life that's very comfortable and safe, and I don't really need the do not fear command because there's nothing to even fear about. So there's no need for courage.
But I think, I don't know, I would just reflect on this too. If you were going to pick up and move to a different culture, it doesn't have to be Nigeria, it could be anywhere. You're going to move away from your family, you're going to move away from things comfortable, you're going to get out of your comfort zone, and you're going to have to. So I think anyone who ever engages in missions anywhere, but like, I don't know. I just think to myself, like, yeah, God ended up steering my life down here to Florida, and I've been here for more than 20 years, but the idea of being a missionary has never really ever left me. It's almost like I got this call from God to be a missionary, and I also know this, like, you have to have the right blend of some kind of personal makeup. This is actually part of my consideration about why I felt that becoming a missionary was the right thing for me, because I realized, like, not everyone is willing to just strike out across the world to go live somewhere where you don't fit in necessarily right away, where you'll be an outsider, in our case, we moved to a place where we had no running water, no telephone, no electricity, no comforts whatsoever from our Western perspective. And yeah, we were willing to be far from medicine, far from we were willing to take that kind of risk. I don't think everyone, just in their personal makeup, not everyone is made for that or could do it. So I felt that we could, I don't know, and we did, which confirmed the experience that hey, we are willing to do things that maybe a lot of other people aren't willing to do, so we should.
One of the things that you often refer back to, like you're doing now, is your time in Africa.
Yeah.
A year of missionary. It seems like that's been a very integral part of who you are today and how you've seen.
I think it helped form my identity.
Do you think it'd be a good idea, and probably the answer is yes, to send our 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids to
it would change their life,
follow that pattern, a year in another country as a missionary, and now they've got that training early on that I'm going to live as a missionary wherever I go?
Maybe this is what was missing in our conversation. So last night during game night, we were talking about being courageous again.
Okay.
And that we were talking about there's abortion happening, and you can go and speak out against that locally, and there's all this other stuff happening. But one of the things that we were saying is you got to pick a struggle. You can't just be courageous and be
about everything. Okay.
Yeah, about everything. So I was saying, one of the things I was saying is okay, what are we good at? If you're going to be courageous about something, at least be courageous about something that you have a well-defined thought about and you have systems in place for. And I would say one of those things is 222, right? So we have that well-defined. So now I'm thinking about this Africa thing. Okay. So Vicky was here the other day, and you were leaving for Africa, and we're they're on fire for 222 right now, blah, blah, blah. It's going great. It's expanding. So then I'm okay, this is all me sitting down here. So why don't we just be courageous in the fact about how well 222 is taking off, and we send individual ambassadors who have gone through the program, and they do 222 in these different mission places. Okay. I'm not just talking Africa. I'm talking whatever countries. So Tyler's wherever he is, bring him back, or maybe I'm just giving an example. Put him through the 222 program, all of that stuff. He knows it in depth. Then send him out, and then he's just doing 222 that way.
Yeah, right. So what you
go ahead.
What you're talking about is we're double down on discipleship.
Yeah, because we that's what so we were saying. Remember last night? The church is encouraging. I was I feel we're pretty courageous when it comes to discipleship. We're all in on it, right? Okay. Disciple and multiplication. So how do we triple down on that? And I think that would be the best way to do it.
And courage looks a little different in different realms of that. So, for instance, I remember the decision we made to record and say every Sunday the numbers of disciples on a Sunday morning. We knew that there would be critique. We knew that there were people wouldn't like it, and yet that was, in my opinion, a courageous decision. Another one would be courageously setting aside funds for specifically 222 disciple, or energy and effort, when it could be diverted somewhere else. This is where we're going to put our flag down.
Maybe we set a new goal within 222 that we get 3 missions out of it a year.
Yeah, maybe.
People to plant somewhere.
Could. Yeah, for sure. And we're certainly starting with at least one a year now. I think you just said the other day that you want to keep on going with at least a yearly trip back to Nigeria. And you had mentioned Vicky is our, administration behind 222 Disciple. She's the one who pairs everyone, contacts everyone, all the communications done through her, which she does a great job. But she had mentioned it is exploding in Africa. It's actually larger. The discipleship footprint there is larger than what's recorded, because they have technological limitations, financial limitations, but they're still being discipled.
So let me explain. Last year, we went to Kenya, and this was part of the overall situation, which is Nigeria is very difficult to get a visa to come to the United States, and that has a lot to do with the troubles in Nigeria. The United States just makes it difficult for people to get visas to come here. So we had been trying for a few years to bring... So about 10 years ago or so, we started planting churches. Let's talk about that just for a second.
Yeah.
I'll come back. So 10 years ago, we started planting churches in Nigeria. This was as of January of 2025. So our most recent church plant, which I visited, isn't on here, but we had planted 12 different churches around Nigeria. And anyway, now there's a 13th that I'll show you later on. We had been hoping that some of those pastors we could bring here to train in 222 Disciple, but we could never get them visas. So finally we had this thought, why don't we fly to Kenya? We have some contacts in Kenya. We'll hold a joint conference. We'll have Kenyan pastors and church leaders. We'll have Nigerian pastors and church leaders, and we'll teach 222 Disciple there. And we'll pair them with mentors. And so we had a whole group who went. Jake, you went. So there was a group that we took with us to Kenya, and then we got all these pastors trained in 222 Disciple. There were 14 who came from Nigeria. So now go back to the picture of the conference. There was just about 75 people who came to this conference, all of whom have been trained now and are in the process of discipling others. That's awesome. In 1 year, we went from 14 to over 75. The majority of people we don't even have in our system yet. We're trying to work on that because there's technological challenges. I am telling you, they are going to go out and disciple like there's no tomorrow. The amount of zeal and passion that was there, I think I'll go back to 700 people next year.
That's incredible.
They have a zeal and a passion. Maybe this is part of I don't know. We have this great working system, but we're not growing at that kind of rate, even though we're multiplying. I think, does everyone in our system have that same zeal, same fervor?
What do you perceive is the source of that zeal, and what do you think is missing in the American church?
Yeah, they are being persecuted.
Persecution.
For their faith.
Yeah, the persecution.
And, you guys know that the Psalms have kind of overtaken my life. Yeah. So, every day we started out by listening to Psalms. And I wonder, I don't know, the free-form podcast, maybe we'll just kind of go into it, but one of the Psalms that we listened to was Psalm 3. And Jake, can you pull up my Psalm 3? And, this Psalm was written by David as he was fleeing from Absalom.
Yeah, is this about enemies?
And it starts out, Lord, how many are my foes?
Lord, how many are my foes?
How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. But then it says, but you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. And anyway, I played the psalm. We actually played it 3 times. Once, we listened from the horizon of David fleeing from Absalom. Then I said, look, this psalm is sacred to Christians because that prefigures Christ. That points us to Christ. Here you have a king whose son is rebelling against him. And anyway, that prefigures, hey, the whole world is in rebellion against the king, but God sent his son Jesus. And he was a shield around Jesus. Anyway, there's a line, I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. Yeah. I will not fear, though tens of thousands assail me on every side.
Yeah, that's a good
And
line.
Augustine and the church fathers were certain that was a reference to Christ's death and resurrection, that he lied down in the sleep of death on the cross only to awake again because the Lord sustains him. So then we listen to it from the horizon of Christ. And then I asked everyone to listen to it one more time, knowing that Christ is teaching us to pray this prayer, from our horizon. And then I gave people the opportunity to talk. Let's play the psalm first, and then I'll tell you what happened.
against me. Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord and he answers me from his holy mountain. Rise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. Call out to the Lord and he answers me from his holy mountain.
Yeah, so they were discussing that afterwards from the three different perspectives.
Okay, so that's what I did. I played it. First, I asked everyone to consider it from the perspective of David as he prayed this prayer. Then I said, look, all these prayers are really the prayers of Jesus. So I want you to consider Psalm 3 from the horizon or perspective of Jesus praying this prayer. And now Jesus is teaching us to pray this prayer. So, let's listen from our own perspective. So I don't know, I think from a North American perspective, Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? I'm not, what will the average person say? But there was hey, Nigeria is a place where Christians are being persecuted the most, maybe
They have
in
a
the
lot
world.
of foes out there.
So, people stood up and started giving a testimony about how God was a shield for them. And
Wow.
there were stories about people being stopped on the road, hauled out of their car, being made to lay down on the road. One of my good friends, Bahago, talked about how this happened to him. His grandson, they left in the car, and he was watching on as this whole thing was going down. And finally Bahago, who was thinking, okay, this is the end, God all of a sudden delivered him out of the situation, and they drove away. And,
Crazy.
So he was like, God is a shield around me.
Your faith is...
He is the one who lifted my head. And from the Lord comes deliverance. And I mean, that was just one of so many stories that people told of like real enemies and how God protected them. And anyway, I just think to myself like, here are brothers and sisters. They are willing to risk it all in their daily lives for the sake of the gospel. I don't know. Not all of us are going to be called to go to a situation like that. But if we're called, we shouldn't shrink from it. But just in our daily life, do we believe that, God is a shield around us? He's our glory, the one who's going to lift our head and he'll deliver us. And like, do we live in light of Jesus?
Yeah, there's a certain fortified nature to your faith when you're down on the ground and you got a gun to your head and your grandson's in the car and then you drive away and you're like, yo, he's a shield. And so, that's going to affect how you view your faith. And
so
the grandson.
Even I myself have testimonies that are just exactly like that.
Jeez.
And if anyone detects that, there's some fortified nature to my faith, it's probably born out of what I've lived through and seen, because once you've lived through and seen it, you can't unknow it.
Right.
The
point is that...
But you asked earlier what makes people passionate, and I think maybe there's like a clarity that comes when your faith is being tested under persecution and suffering.
And safety and comfort become now a mask for what is... the spiritual realities of the dangers out there in the world. And you start to get complaints, at least I do. I start to get complacent and feel like this is real life when it's really not.
Well, I think I've heard this from people who get diagnosed with cancer. All of a sudden their faith just becomes the grounding principle.
Right.
Or I think, we don't want to suffer. We try to avoid suffering, but suffering does clarify things, put things in perspective. And, I think all of a sudden you can't help to become passionate about your faith if you've just been diagnosed with a terminal disease, or if, you're in some amount of danger. All of a sudden you gain clarity about what's true and not true. And so,
Seron, you're stroking your beard like an 1850s preacher over there. I'm sure you have a reaction to this.
I just don't know. I just don't know how. I don't know how I feel this piece in terms of like being courageous out in the world.
Do you think you live a life that requires courage?
Requires? No. That gives me opportunities to be courageous for my faith? Yes. Does my life require courage? No. These people get in the car and he wasn't expecting to be pulled over in the middle of somewhere. Right. Like it is requiring him courage to be a Christian
daily
as he lives and breathes daily.
Yeah.
Do I think that is
incredible.
Required of me right now? I woke up this morning. I made my kids French toast sticks. And they took a shower. They took their time. We hopped in the car. They drove to their Christian private school. No. I do not think it's required of me.
Is this a problem? Like, is there something wrong with it?
I don't know if it's a problem. I just don't know where. I don't know. I feel like you've created an interesting crisis with myself where I don't know where I fit into the puzzle piece of this courageousness, because I don't think I'm required to be courageous for anything. And then I guess what I'm struggling is I do not feel a calling to be a missionary.
Well, I think we're all called
just like
to be
before. I think I've
so.
told you before. Like, I don't feel a calling to plant churches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel a calling for me to go and plant a church. Mm-hmm. But if other
you've been involved in planting churches.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think planting churches is great. And when people want to plant churches, I feel a calling to assist.
That's
but I feel a calling to, but I always say, like, I will always want to come back home to my
let me
my
give you
home church.
Let me
like when David Hancock was planning his church, and Joss asked me to help. I'm like, oh yeah. I felt like, yeah, I'll help. And then once they were like good, I'm like, and back to Salt Lake.
Let me give you an image, because I agree with Seron. I don't think everyone is necessarily called to become a foreign missionary, full-time especially. But I do think that in the church there are people who receive that call. And I think then, actually something wonderful happens in the church when we send our own sons and daughters into that danger.
Ooh, that's a good point.
So now all of a sudden, like, I think the entire church participates in that. So here's the image. Someone's going to dive into a deep, dark pit. They got a rope around them. You got to hold that rope. Right? Mm-hmm. I got you.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's the image of like, okay, there are people who are called to like go into dangerous places, and like, we can't just be like, oh, see ya.
Yeah.
So
I think now we still have to participate in that somehow, and we've got to do our part.
If my
So, like,
son wanted to grow up,
support.
if he grew up and wanted to go in Nigeria, there would be so much support for me for Nigerian
Well,
missions.
look what happened with you guys. I went and you started praying.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we're having this conversation about courage because we've just bumped up against something where we're like,
Oh,
oh,
maybe my calling is to be the support of whoever.
Which is
does
important. They
something
can't do it
else.
without support. And they need church. They need a church planting team. They need a launch. They need all kinds. It's a whole. Don't conflate a church planter with like the main pastor there, who's the tip of the spear driving the whole thing. He needs a whole team. Actually, that's our whole premise about church planting, is that we don't like the parachute drop lonely model in America. We want them with teams. We've done it with PGA.
Yeah, let me be very clear. I support church planting.
Yeah,
I support it.
Yeah.
I have just never been called myself to do it. I always felt like if
To be
someone
the
wants
main
to go
guy.
to be the main guy.
Yeah.
If someone else
Fair.
wants to go plant church, I will help
Fair.
100%. I am there to help you 100%.
And that certainly changes with like, stage of life, right? You can't just uproot. You got to think through a lot of different other things, your family, your wife's family, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I understand that. No one thinks differently for that. But I'm curious about.
here's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think we're having a great conversation, but how about if I give the report of the trip now?
Yeah, I was just
And
about to
then
turn us
I
there.
think more will get put on the table for us to
good.
chew on.
I was just going to turn us there. That's good.
So, okay, here I guess is what I'd like to say. When I first arrived in Nigeria, we took some time to visit a couple of the churches that we planted. So I'd like to just show some of that. So I think we went to a place called Gongola City. We planted this church in 2023. That's when in February and March, we raised the funds for it. And now we've planted this church. So this is me, and you can see Bob Crow there, who works for our ministry, with some of the members of the church. And then behind us, you see a building that was first constructed as the church building, which is a little smaller. And then on the left-hand side of the picture, you see now they're building a larger structure to serve as the main gathering place for this church. And
Bob looks like a native there. Look at him.
Yeah.
It fits right in.
yeah, he has hair. So, so anyway, what's great is up in the upper left-hand corner. I don't know. There's two women standing up in the left-hand corner. Just the second one in, wearing kind of a darker red, is the children's ministry director. So she, on any given Sunday, has about 60 children who are part of it. And the congregation as a whole is like 100, 150. We just planted this church in 2023.
Wow.
They outgrew their first building. They're building their second building. And they anticipate that, they're going to really grow. I think I have a video from the pastor of the church. Maybe we can just play a little bit about what he said.
Good morning, everyone. This is, as you can see, we're here in Gongola City, Hekan Church, Gongola City. This place was established on June 2023, and by the help of God, since the foundation of the place and the establishment of the place have been growing. We have experienced progress from the growth of members, and also the building project with the help of our GCC through our partners. We give glory to God Almighty because as we can see today, we are happy they have come to visit us, and we really appreciate your effort and your help and support also in building the kingdom of God here in this community, especially for this church in this area. So thank you very much for the help, and thank you very much for the support, and we pray you keep doing that so that, as you can see, we still have other projects, the roof and other windows, the windows and other things that we still have in the church that we need to do that too. So pray that as you go back, you help us also to cover the project of the roof and also the window and other places that still remain. We still have them to do in the church. God bless you. Thank you very much. I am Evangelist Joshua Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so he is our church planter. He's the pastor there.
Were the funds raised from the evening services?
Yeah, that's where we raised the funds.
Awesome.
So, okay, now I'm going to show you the next photo. This is a situation last year in maybe it was October, November timeframe. The Nigerian government, there's been a church that has existed in that location for 43 years, and it was on some police barracks. Actually, the denomination that we're partnered with called Hecken, they started on military barracks, and so they did a lot of planting of churches near or on military barracks. But the Nigerian government, though this church has been here for 43 years, came in and said, hey, in a couple of months, we're going to bulldoze your building over and you can no longer use this place. The government just came in and said, sorry, boom. There was nothing they could do. So we had some other plans, maybe to plant elsewhere, but then when we realized the crisis that they were going to have here, we decided that we're going to plant another church. And it's a little bit of a distance from here, but some of the members could become a core group for this new church plant in an area called Kuchikau. So maybe, Jake, you can show the next picture. Show the next picture. Okay, so this was us sitting outside of we fundraised for this year. These are some of the church members along with the first building that they built. They started building in August, so it's a brand new church. Go back to the video. This is us arriving.
They welcome you?
Yes. Wow. So this is them in Hausa. They're giving thanks to God and welcoming us that we could be there. Now, in the middle there with the checkered shirt, that was my former student, Kiri Amos. He is now the president of the Hecken denomination. So, okay, now, Jake, let's watch the next video because I think this was us inside the new church building, and you get a flavor of what the worship would look like. So these were some of the women leading worship. Okay, now this is Pastor Ninrat, who's a friend. And there's a video of Ninrat talking about how meaningful it is, how we helped. And actually, as he was speaking, it just occurred to me on my end, on our end, it seemed like such a small thing we did. But then when I was there and I saw the impact, I was like, wow. You'll hear on his side, I mean, for him it was we've really intervened and we helped out in the crisis. And anyway, if we could play Ninrat's video.
Yeah. Well, tell the story of this place.
Well, Hekan Church Puchukau, it started on 3rd August 2025, this year. And basically, it started because of the demolition that happened at Hekan Church, Garki. You know, the church, the members are in 2 locations. There are people from Nasarawa, and there are people that are living around Abuja City. So the people that are living around this area will have nowhere to go until this intervention came to be. And we put this place in place, and the people are so excited to have a place of worship after the demolition. So we are so grateful for Sunlight Community Church for intervening, because you people came to our rescue, especially for people that are living around this area.
Okay, so now when I was there, I was the one holding a camera filming this, and I just thought to myself, like, okay, God's done something amazing here. You hear him say, like, you people came to our rescue. But it didn't feel that way. We were just having our evening worship services and collecting funds. But when I was there and I saw the impact, I was like, oh, wow. You know, like, their commitment is very high, and now you can see, like, since August, here's the church that's gotten established, and this is how they're working. And, like, I thought to myself, like, their commitment is very high. So, yeah, it just caused me to reflect on what God's allowed us to do. This is our 13th church plant. I was only able to visit 2 out of the 13, but there's a story like this at each one that I think, man, here are people who are doing the work of missions, who are reaching people for Christ. And I think, unfortunately, I haven't been able to see the impact, and now I did, and it is just very striking.
How does the worship and commitment level, really, of the Nigerian church plants or our counterparts in Nigeria confront the attitude of American church?
Well, okay, I'll just give some examples. You know, when I lived in Nigeria, this is the case. Every single church member, once you become a church member, it's the responsibility of the pastor to assign every church member to an evangelism group. So
every person in the church is
when I
member
landed
of
in Nigeria, I became part of the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria, became a member immediately, and then I was assigned to an evangelism group. In my case, there was a small group of, let's say, 10, 12 people that was assigned to go to the local brothel.
There's no negotiation. You're just
No. I was just assigned the brothel. Now I'm in that evangelism group, and every week I gather together with my group. We pray together, and then we went and evangelized at the brothel. That is a given. You're in an evangelism group. Okay, I don't have it to show you guys, but Jake, I'll show you the picture of when Andrew and I lived there. There were actually 3 different prostitutes who came to faith through our evangelistic effort and left the brothel, and we had to help them. So I'll show the picture of that from my time in Nigeria. We can edit that in. Sorry, I don't have it here. But that was every church member. And by the way, if you refuse to be part of an evangelism group, you'll be put under discipline. Your membership will be revoked. Okay? So now, while I was there, I actually had a meeting with the president of the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria. And he was saying that a couple of years ago, he was kind of surveying the state of the church, and he decided to declare a state of emergency because he didn't think that they were multiplying as quickly as they should in terms of planting churches. So he made it a requirement that every existing church in a 3-year period of time had to plant at least one daughter church, but hopefully 2 or 3. And if there was any church that did not plant a daughter church, he had determined that he would go and remove the pastor from pastoral office because they don't love Jesus enough.
That's serious,
Okay?
man.
So every single church in the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria right now is required
Wow.
at the threat of their pastor being removed to plant daughter churches. Okay. So now we have
They're getting it from the government.
So
They're
now-
getting it from their own.
we have our church planting conference coming up for the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria. And man, I guess we just have to let that sink in. This is the mission fervor of the Church of Nigeria. And okay, let's just show the conference. I'll just play that a little bit. I want you guys to see something. So we've already seen the picture. I have a video of, I think it was the first night of the conference. We paused at the end to just have a time of worship. And I want to show this just, first of all, so people can see. And I'd like you guys to just sort of notice what you notice and then report back to me.
There's no one like Jesus. There's no one like Him. There's no one like Jesus. There's no one like Him. I walk, no one. I search it, no one. I turn around, no one. There's no one like me. I walk, no one. I search it, no one. I turn around, no one. There's no one like me. I walk, no one. I search it, no one. I turn around, no one. There's no one like me.
Okay. So that's an example. I have some more videos that we could potentially show, but I'm curious what you guys notice about worship, that particular time of worship. What do you notice?
I'll let the Sultan of Sound answer first.
Why me?
You're the worship director around here.
Just what do you notice? It's not a complicated question.
Everyone's participating. Everyone's dancing. You don't have any instruments. It's just the voices, and they all seem happy and glad to be there.
I noticed the
Which is, just the participation that I noticed the most.
I agree.
And the words were so simple, but yet so genuine.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I grew up, that's how the worship songs were a lot. A lot of them were like almost like children's songs, and they were like so simple, and adults still sung them.
Yeah.
They're simpler.
I agree.
I walked around, no one. Searched around, no one. I turned around, no one. No one like Jesus. Like it was like.
Well, I noticed the dance moves. Like that is like here in American context, that's like a childish thing. I don't think if you have a pastor's conference, they're not doing children's dance moves. They're not doing none of that. But here, in Nigeria, they love it. They were some of that stuff. Actually, I wanted to do it. That sounds awesome.
Not just with the mouth, but also with the body. Just
Yeah.
moving around.
Yeah, so there's like a kind of carefreeness or a unreserved nature towards it. There's like an expectation almost. It would be out of place if you were just kind of like standing still like on our Sunday mornings. It would be out of place if they were just singing like this over there in that video. I'd be like, what's up with that guy?
Yeah, and
What if I did that
nobody
song
is
on
just
Sunday?
standing there watching. everybody is
Yeah.
lifting.
Active
They don't need instruments
participation.
because their voices are the instruments.
Right.
Active participation.
Yeah, and again, that's probably birthed out of the climate over there of zeal, fervor, danger.
And the other thing, you could just see people are enjoying the time of worship. They
Yeah.
enjoy to worship God together. Anyway.
After this trip, how's your own view of leadership, multiplication, mission for the church? How's that been altered or changed or sharpened?
Well, there are some things that definitely struck me. One of which is, Andrew and I were there in 2001 and 2002, and then we left. And we had the intention to be full-time missionaries, and I wound up as a full-time missionary to the state of Florida. Okay, so that's how I view it. God sent me here. But it was interesting being there to return to Nigeria itself. I think I have another picture in there, don't I, of myself and some other friends. Let's show that picture. I'd like to show it. So there it is. All of the people who are in this picture were there in Donga at Veenstra Seminary with me as my students.
They were all your students?
Yeah, except just to the right of me is Bahago, and just to the left of me is Sargarga. These were also teachers, but the rest were all students. So I was reunited with friends.
That's crazy. What's that, 20 years? That's
Yeah,
a 20-year-old
and
picture
look,
right
we're
there.
all bald.
Blend right in.
We're all older. That was the thing. It was like, you know how sometimes you have friendships and can be away from each other for a long time, but then they're genuine. And so when you see each other, you just pick right back up.
Right.
I think for us, it's like we were all close to each other and all friends. And then 25 years later, we all look older. That's the only difference.
Real friendships don't need upkeep.
Yeah, there's something that was there. Anyway, one of the things that really did strike me is that I think when Andrew and I was there was somewhere between 25 and 30 missionaries that were serving in Nigeria still, and now there are no more. The field is basically shut down, and yeah, there's not even a natural contact. And then I was there, and I think we've established this ministry. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting, which is, though God sent me to Florida, I might be, at least in our denomination, like the remaining Nigerian missionary.
Yeah. The last.
And I felt that based on this large history of missions, we planted 2 daughter denominations. These daughter denominations are huge. The NKST, the Christian Reformed Church Among the Tiv, could be more than 1 million people. We're not sure exactly how large the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria is, but somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 million people. And there's been this whole history of missions where, honestly, people have laid down their life, and there's really been something, and this vibrant church has emerged of real, genuine faith and a fervor for mission. And I just had this, like, I don't know, personal reaction, like, wow, somehow it's me.
Yeah.
Like the torch of all that got put in my hand. And I really had this thought of, I've got to double down. I've got to recommit, because God's doing something tremendous, and I don't know how the torch got handed to me, but it kind of has. I'm the one who knows people there, who has these friendships, who can gather people up. And
I could certainly sense the weight of responsibility that you're feeling, that
Yeah.
because of the history and sacrifice and decisions for all of the CRC, your ties there, and then your personal relationships, and then
Right.
your time there for the year. And now, like, you're going to carry these relationships on. You certainly have that responsibility, or at least, yeah.
And this is my initial thinking, which is, it just seems providential that we have this church planting conference coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that, frankly, we as a denomination can continue to plant churches is by being partnered with churches like in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And my thought is, okay, for the last 10 years or so, we've kind of built a model of friendship and partnership that's resulting in churches being planted all over the country. So much more can be done. And I think one of the things that I have in mind is, can I build a coalition of churches that will join us and raise funds every year? Another thing that happened, we were in Kenya, and while we were there, there was some of the Maasai church leaders that came to Bob and I, and they just begged us, please, can you send missionaries here? Our people are in darkness, they're lost, there's so few Christians here, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. We need help, could you please send a missionary? Well, I kind of responded, I said, well, I'm not sure that we'll send missionaries from the United States, but maybe we can send missionaries from Nigeria. So I talked to some of my friends in Nigeria. They have now sent missionaries there.
How long did that take?
To Kenya. A year.
Jeez.
And my thought is, okay, can churches in the United States, as an example, raise funds so that the Nigerian church can send missionaries out all over Africa? There's no end to the kind of church planting we could do. Next to me in this picture on the right-hand side is Bahago. He was with me at Veenstra Seminary. He became the president of the Christian Reformed Church of Nigeria. At the end of his tenure as president, he had this calling from God, and so the Nigerian church sent him to Sierra Leone. Actually, Sunlight helped plant with Bahago a church in Sierra Leone. There are now, as a result of Bahago's work, he told me 63 churches in that, Christian Reformed churches in that country, as a result. So
that's crazy, dude.
This is the kind of outsized results that we could have if we partner with the Nigerian church.
So because of the partnerships, we now have 63
in Sierra
Leone, Kenyan missionaries
we got a Kenyan,
from Nigerian,
right.
13 church plants there and growing. So 3 different countries in Africa.
Yeah, so it's amazing. And I just think, are there some other churches who maybe in their local context, they're like, how are we going to plant churches? Like, here, this is a way.
Yeah.
And
we got to take people there.
I agree. That's the second thing I'm thinking, which is they need our partnership. They're asking for it. But I think we actually need their partnership more. We need we need missionaries from them more than they need us. We need that zeal, that passion, that experience of the Christian faith to help. We started having conversations about what does all this mean.
That's so funny. All the time when you're planning missions, are you sending money to them? You're like, pour them, here's this, let's help them. Wrong. Pour us. We've literally lost the fire. And we are begging now for them to reignite us. That is crazy.
So okay, let me boil.
I'm so
this
sorry
down
for
to-
interrupting.
No, that's fine. No, that's a good. I mean,
just
it's understood. There's 2 points, and then we'll wrap this up. But the first one is you've kind of already outlined it. How do you think the CRC should respond to the growth in Nigeria? I think I'm going to outline them if you'd want to add more to it. Number 1, let's get together some funding and fund these guys. Number 2, we got to go visit and send leaders down there to see and feel and understand and like the culture and the dynamic of what's happening, so it builds confidence. Is that about it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's funny because on the plane ride home, it was a long time. I already mentioned that. It was a long trip. So I just had a lot of time to think. And my biggest conclusion was, wow, I've got to have a midlife crisis. I think I have to gain some clarity about my calling. What is God calling me to for my life's ministry? Because if I don't know it, if I'm not clear about it, how can I communicate to the team that God's put around me?
I've been having that for the last 8 months.
What's that?
I said I've been having that for like the last 8 months.
Okay. So I just feel man, I've got to have a midlife crisis to really clarify the gospel opportunities that God's put in front of me and try to figure out how to mobilize the team that God has placed around me so that we don't waste our life. So that's one just personal thought.
Got it.
And then, I think immediately it comes to my mind, I really need to work at raising a coalition of churches who can catch hold of this fire a little bit and join us. And I do think that bringing people with me to Nigeria, are there other pastors? Are there people from here at Sunlight? Are there other stakeholders who they'll catch the vision too? And again, back to kind of how we got started, like going to Nigeria might involve a little risk, but I think risk is right. We have to be willing to, we have to be willing to evaluate that our faith in Christ and the kingdom of God is of greater value than our own safety or our own tidy little lives that we want to make for ourselves. We just have to kind of reevaluate everything in light of eternity. And anyway, that's why I think risk is right.
If you're out there and you have feel some kind of pull towards joining this coalition, getting this thing started, going to Nigeria, I don't know, you could find us on and communicate with us through the Disciple Standard website. Links are down in the description. You just hit the contact. It'll come straight to me. Last question. If you could bottle up one thing from the Nigerian church and pour it into the life of Sunlight here, what would that be?
Passion. Yeah, there it is. Let's get some white hot passion. I think that's what's sticking with me, and I don't know. What do you guys think? You're hearing my accounting. If you were going to bottle something up, just you're getting it secondhand from me, or however you think about it. What do you want to bottle up?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think
it's something we have to talk about off of camera.
Why?
Well, my thoughts are so scattered right now. There's this, then I'm like thinking about like Synod, and then I'm thinking about like my own life, like after getting like my like license to preach and like where to go from there. Then this thing keeps ringing in like my ear about what Scott said at Synod about like the Christian Reformed Church has like this robust way of of theology, and we have so much to offer the world. And I keep thinking about like my own people, like Jamaica as a whole, and like how I grew up, and like they like this backsliding thing, and like how they like their understanding of theology, and like where I've come from, and what could I offer like my own culture. And I think I said something to you about that when we were in Canada. Like, I feel like sad that like, I feel like there's some people, I honestly feel like they're trapped in like this line of thinking. Then I see these people, then you're talking about, he's like, if you don't plant a church, you're out. And then we like this separate conversation of like, oh, like I'm like not forcing, but I'm like making a requirement for people to go to pros in my band. I'm like, should staff people be required to do it? Which is like a whole separate thing. Where do we draw the line? I'm literally all over the place. This conversation has made, then it's like, they're like making like music that's so simple to follow along. And then I'm thinking, Forrest Frank, I'm like, yo, should I record that song that they just did and make it simple and do it on a Sunday morning and then like force the congregation to dance along with it? Literally, this is my thoughts. These are my thoughts. And I'm sitting here like, boop, 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 boop. So I have no idea.
It seems as though you've taken in a lot and you're like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is like off camera. I don't want to like put this on the podcast and then we're like going down like this, like, boop, 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 boop. I have no idea. I think what Scott said is like truth, more passion. But I think what we said last night is also true. Like everything I just rattled off, you could pick them all up and everything is only done 25%. We have to like dial in, pick a struggle, pick something. Because I could rattle off all those things I just did, but if I pick nothing's get done. Because you're like frozen in like, there's so much to do. What should I do? Like ADHD brain. You could do, there's so much to do. What do I do? You got to pick a struggle, dude. You got to pick something. So I think that's where I said like over the last 8 months, like, I don't know what to pick.
I think
I'm like struggling with like I'm at a car lot and like they all got features I like and I don't know what to think. Seriously, like I don't know what to pick. Like I don't know what to pick.
I think
don't know what to pick.
for yourself, I think it would be helpful and wise to list it all out.
Yeah, I was just thinking like I make a Venn diagram. I was literally picking.
And then prioritize.
I'm like,
and prioritize based on your skills, strength, on passion, on interest. You know, they don't weigh equally in your life, and I think that's at least a place to start. We could probably make a Patreon where we could comb through those emotions as well.
I'm like, okay, we're writing a song. Like we're writing a song.
He didn't even catch it.
Derek is writing songs. I heard him. Derek is writing songs like crazy right now. Can I just task Derek on this with writing the song? Like take his passion he's having for writing songs, and he's like writing whatever he's writing, and just like, can I stare at this direction? And I also like come alongside him and do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like literally, I'm like, there's like.
Well, start with prayer. That's my my take on your plight over there. For myself, I last night we were talking, and I had admitted I sit in a position of leadership here at Sunlight. I admitted, I just feel like there's a responsibility I bear to some degree, not all of it, but to a large part of it. Like I should be stepping into a place of leading the congregation in some direction with a sense of, probably the word comes to mind is urgency. Maybe that's not the exact right word, but that's the one that comes to me right now. Passion is another good one. It's like, there's like a spark, a fire, a zeal, right in that area where something now matters. Like if something matters, you are working towards it quickly with pressure, and that's true in any part of life. And I think this is what the ultimate thing matters. So that's would be my thought, maybe close to urgency.
Okay.
Looks like there's more struggle to be had with it.
Yeah, dude,
Right?
because like when I was younger, growing up, and we were dancing like that in church, it's fine. But then I like at Sunlight or like here, I'm like, would I feel courageous enough to ask the congregation, I walk, like, yo, I turn, like, would I have the courage to like go on a Sunday morning and say, this is what we're doing, let's stand up and let's do this?
Yeah, but you understand,
like sitting here,
they're not just doing that. It's like birthed out of somewhere deep.
I know, but I grew up that way.
Yeah,
like that's how I grew up.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Right.
That's good. This is a good struggle. This is a good struggle. Get into prayer. Get into some prayer, man. Get into some prayer. Well,
this episode shooketh at least one person.
Yeah, this has been a good episode. Thank you so much for watching the Disciple Standard podcast. If you want to check out the Patreon, where we probably will talk more about this kind of stuff, it's less than $5 a day, or sorry, not a day, a month, really. And if you want to join the Multiply Conference, that is happening November 8, 9, 10, and 11. 10 and 11 are the main days. Pre-conference is 8 and 9. Links are down in the description down below. Seats are filling up, and we're excited to have everyone here, especially for important conversations and topics like this, where the CRC, Sunlight, the American Church could really discuss, dialogue about, and where friends can gather for a renewed vision for the CRC. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being on the pod, and we'll see you in the next episode.
The future is now.